You're Deputy Lowry, right?
I am.
You are. In recent months, we were introduced to Deputy John Lowery with the Volusia County Sheriffs Office in Florida. If you remember what he did before, wait until you see what he's done next. This guy is unbelievable, and something has to be done. The lack of accountability from this department is allowing this cop to abuse his position to victimize more citizens. Instead of fixing the problem, they just moved the problem to the next town over within the same county, where he continues his ways, and I was shocked to see what he did next. If you don't remember or didn't see, here's a quick look at what Lowry did the first time, or the first time we caught wind of. I'm sure there's been many, where a citizen lawfully crossed the street and exercised his First Amendment, which angered Lowry, who is shown to be a feelings enforcement officer. And let's have a quick look at what he did, what happened then. Then we'll get on to what came next. It's insane.
You're under no obligation to answer any of his questions.
What did you say?
You're under no obligations to answer any of your questions.
Are you serious?
Yep. Called Fifth Amendment.
Oh, really? How
Yes,
would
sir.
you know that?
I've watched.
And you know what? I have the right to ask you a question. I need to see your ID because you didn't cross that street in a crosswalk. I need to see your ID right now. I need
don't
to see
think
your
so,
ID.
sir.
If you don't give me your ID, I'm going to arrest you for resisting arrest. You crossed the
For
street.
resisting arrest.
Resisting or impeding.
Where's
the flow
their
of traffic.
car?
This is
There's
a roadway.
there's no traffic.
This is a
Where am
roadway.
I impeding? I'll take this charge. Where am
No,
I
you're
impeding?
going to identify yourself.
We're in public, yeah. I'll link the original video in a pinned comment. That guy was arrested, transported to the jail. Charges were dropped because they were ridiculous and made up by a feelings enforcement officer. But he still had to go to the jail. He still had to pay bond. A lawsuit is pending. A complaint was filed, which there's update videos about that as well. And of course, that blue line, when they investigate themselves, they find that they did nothing wrong. Even though when I encountered Lowry in these clips you're seeing right here, at the exact same spot where he arrested that guy for crossing the street legally and not giving up his identity to a tyrant, Lowry here admitted that he was wrong. He admitted you don't have to use a crosswalk here. He admitted that he had no obligation, that guy had no obligation to ID himself. He admitted that, so he knows that. But still the department said, no, he didn't do anything wrong, which was not even a little bit surprising. So what we've seen, what Lowry has displayed to us, is that when his feelings get hurt, if you're not nice to him, he can be mean to you, but if you're not nice to him and you've not broken any laws, he will file invalid charges on you, intentionally create hardships for you, take you to jail, cost you a lot of money, even though the charges will be dropped, just to show you who's boss. He's got that badge. He's above the law. Don't you dare mess with him. So I wasn't surprised when I was contacted by Lowry's next victim. Let me give you a scenario. And how do you think it should play out? Let's say you're driving home or driving to your destination, maybe a friend's house. A cop is following you. You're not doing anything wrong. You've got nothing to be afraid of, but he's following you. You turn onto your street. The cop turns onto your street with you. Then, when you are 4 driveways away from your own driveway, the blue lights come on. You immediately brake and slow, and you decide the safest place to stop is probably in your driveway, which is just feet away. As you're slowing, you're giving hand signals to the cop pulling you over to indicate that you know he's there and you're stopping. Then you pull into your driveway, which is just seconds. What do you think happens? You explain to the cop why it took you about 10 extra seconds to stop. Think he'll give you a ticket for stopping at a safe place? Think he'll be angry that you didn't immediately slam on the brakes right when he turned on the blue lights? You think he'll charge you with a felony? Listen to what happened to this citizen during his first encounter with Lowry as you think about how that should play out. The citizen is on his way home and he stops at this Wawa gas station, which unfortunately happens to also be a notorious cop hangout. As he conducts his business at the gas station, he takes note that the deputies that are hanging out over there seem to be staring at him, and he just gets that feeling. Damn it, they're waiting for me to leave. They want to mess with me. Now, he's got nothing to worry about. He's got a good license, nothing illegal, no warrants, but he can just tell. And I get it. That's happened to me. I've been a victim of that many, many times. And it's unfortunate that he has to think this way. He doesn't want to hassle. He just wants to hurry up and get home. So he's trying to wait them out. He doesn't want to start driving yet. Again, he's got nothing to hide. He just doesn't want to be hassled. He just wants to be able to go home. And a citizen who's done nothing wrong shouldn't have to think that way. After a while, he knows his wife's at home, his family's at home waiting for him. He says, damn it, I got to take my chances. Hopefully I won't be punished for being a law-abiding citizen today. And he leaves. He starts heading home. He gets onto the roadway, and just as he expected, he's being followed by at least one of them. This is the path that the driver took as he was almost home. He doesn't know it yet, but Deputy Lowry is about to pull him over for his license plate frame, which cops don't care about. They only use that for a reason to mess with you or in hopes to find something else. He's been followed for about 2.5 miles at this point, and the cop hasn't found anything good to stop him for, so he's going to have to use that stupid tag thing. The driver pulls onto his street here, starts heading towards his house. The cop makes the turn too, and according to the driver, about this point right here, he sees blue lights turn on. He immediately slows, puts his hand out the window to say, hey, I know you're here, I'm stopping. I just live right here, and I'm not going to tell you which house it is, but one of these driveways right here he pulls into, with the cop right behind him. Lowry approached the driver, who was frustrated and admittedly was not very nice to Lowry, and that's all Lowry needed. He told him he stopped him for his license plate frame, or cover, went back to his police car, and the driver says about 10 minutes passed when he came back, told him to get out of the car. He's under arrest for fleeing and eluding. Felony, fleeing and eluding. At no point did he attempt to flee or elude, and what he did does not meet the statutory requirements for that charge. And in his report, Lowry didn't even make anything up to make it sound like it's a valid charge, to make it sound like he actually did flee and elude. He just wrote almost exactly what happened. The only difference is Lowry claims that he turned on his blue lights probably about 25 feet before the driver says he did. But honestly, the driver, to me, who is a stranger, has more credibility than Lowry does. And I could see him lying about that, because he knows this is not fleeing and eluding, but he has to try to make it sound a little bit better at least, because damn it, he's going to create you hardships because you're not nice to him. His feelings will be enforced. He even writes in there that the guy is signaling with his hand out the window. Where does he describe a vehicle attempting to flee or elude him? It's interesting, he writes in the charges and on the ticket, he uses Florida Statute 316-1935, which is fleeing and eluding, and also writes failure to obey a lawful command, which is a totally different statute and not a felony. And there wouldn't even be enough here for that charge. But let's remember, this is the same guy who actually delivered somebody to the jail for legally, lawfully crossing the street. Surely this is something he should know, right? Let's go to the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, to the very same district office where he works, see if we can find him and ask him if he knows, or ask anybody else if they know. What are the requirements for fleeing and eluding? What constitutes fleeing and eluding? I was looking for a specific person to answer this question, but I don't see them.
Okay.
What constitutes fleeing and eluding? Like a fleeing and eluding charge, what would the driver have to do? I don't plan to flee and elude.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
They just we have to obviously light up the vehicle with our lights and sirens, and they have to make an effort to actually evade patrol vehicle.
Right.
Typically at a high rate of speed.
Right. So if they, just for example, let's just say this is the street and you pulled a car over as you turned onto the street, lights and siren, and the driver put his hand out the window like, hey, whatever, I acknowledge you or whatever.
Yep.
And then he, went down a few driveways and pulled into the driveway. Slowing down the whole time, making it clear that, hey, I'm not running from you. I'm just pulling into my driveway, that's all. Mm-hmm. Could he be arrested for fleeing and eluding?
I'd have to look. I know you're probably referring to a specific case, and I don't want to.
That's why I know. I get it. I was just open. Yeah. But I mean, typically.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything on that because we're probably talking about a specific case.
You heard what he said there. The main basic element of fleeing and eluding, which is just common sense. You don't have to be a cop to know this. They have to actually make an effort to elude the officer, and like he said, typically at a high rate of speed. This is Deputy Prada, who I've had positive interactions with in the past. I've never had an issue with him, but what he's doing there, what he just did there, that's another issue we've talked about a lot. He gave the straight answer, but then he realized I was talking about a specific event, and if he continues to answer truthfully, it may make another cop look bad. That's that blue line. That's something that has to change. Damn the blue line, damn how you might make somebody else look just by being real and truthful and honest. Just do the right thing. If it makes other people look bad, it's because they're not doing the right thing. Now, a short time after that, guess who pulled up? Deputy Lowry. Lowry showed up, and I'm going to try to talk to him. Unfortunately, as he came around the corner, he spotted me. So he pulled in over here on the side of the building instead of out back with everybody else, and I'm hoping he won't just run away. Hey, Lowry, I have a question for you real quick. What constitutes fleeing and eluding? What's the difference between fleeing and eluding and fail to obey? Not going to answer. I knew I had to talk fast because it was evident that he recognized me, and he knows that he gets called out on these things, and the public sees it, as they should. You'd think he would take that as some sort of lesson to stop doing these things. I guess he just hopes that people won't find out, and nobody will ever try to hold him accountable for it. But I figured I'd hang out. He's got to come out sometime. We managed to have a cordial conversation the last time, and I was hoping we could do it again. But him continuing to do this raises a lot of questions and concerns. For one, what's in place to look over these cops? Are supervisors supposed to review arrests before they're completed and people are transported to the jail to make sure things like this aren't happening? To make sure people aren't going to jail for legally crossing the street? To make sure people aren't going to jail on felonies, on what should be a traffic citation at best? If those things were in place and they're being followed, this wouldn't happen. Now, this driver, he did get tickets. He got a ticket for the license plate cover and a ticket as well as the charge for fleeing and eluding. Like we explained, he didn't do. But if a supervisor looked over that, even just read his report before he took the guy to jail, it's clear from his own report that the guy did not commit fleeing and eluding. You don't have to talk to the people, see video or anything. Just read his damn report and it's clear that it didn't happen. But this guy was a jerk to Lowry, so Lowry did it. And I guarantee he felt good about it. He seems to have that, I'll fix you mentality. I will at some point have body cam footage from this incident. But as of now, they're claiming to not release it because the case isn't closed yet, which usually isn't an issue. But the fact that they're giving me a hard time about it kind of indicates to me that they know how bad it looks. Now, this case, these charges should be dropped. The state attorney's office should look at that report, read it, and get a laugh out of it and respond with something like, hey, where are the words that back the charges you filed? Because again, you don't have the elements for what you charge somebody for. Now, that's what should happen. What will happen, time will tell. But if that other deputy so quickly and so easily knew what was required, what the elements were for fleeing and eluding, why doesn't Lowry know? Or does he know, and he just doesn't care? He just wants to hem somebody up that wasn't nice to him. Again, either one of those scenarios is a problem. Like I mentioned earlier, he was investigated for that other incident where they decided they did nothing wrong after investigating themselves, but they moved him to a different city within the same county. Now, some inside sources with that department say that this was due to the reputation that he gained after that incident and after people saw it, and all of his co-workers had seen it, and a lot of citizens saw it. So instead of trying to fix the issue, they just swept the issue over here, where they should have realized he's bound to do the same thing. And he's already started, and he hasn't been in the new district very long. Now, I waited for a bit for him to come back out, thinking he's just starting his day, so he should be out any minute now. But I waited and waited and waited. It got dark out, and I eventually realized he's not coming out there. He's not going to face accountability. He knows what he did. He knows how it looks. So the taxpayers can take some comfort in knowing that instead of being out doing the job he's being paid to do with their dollars, he's inside just hiding from accountability. This is a problem, and it's going to continue. One of you watching this could be his next victim. Maybe he'll be moved to another district again. But stay tuned. I'll share more when I have more. Share your comments. Twisted Luck. I'll see you soon.